Hi folks, welcome to your Rangers are back in Seville. Real Betis versus Rangers, 8pm in the Benito Villamarin Stadium, 8pm British time that is. It's practically kick-off. What's the point of this European preview pod? UEFA Europa League Group C, coming to you in association with Forest Precision Engineering. My name's Alec Anderson, and he massages to the left, he massages to the right. Tiny Tommy Taylor cures about 8 or 9 cruciate medial ligament injuries a night. We'll work on the lyrics, we'll perfect the lyrics when we get closer to the time, whenever it is he arrives at Glasgow Airport. But I think Tiny Tommy, is he tiny? Is he tall? He better be thin, Tommy Taylor. Tiny Tommy Trainer Taylor. He can get called Mr. Taylor, he can get called President Taylor, King Tommy of the universe if he wants. If this guy that we are getting in from Brighton and Hove Albion, the new head of performance, fitness guru, he has to be a fitness guru as far as I'm concerned. Our manager has got a bead on what a lot of the injury problems are, what's causing a lot of the injury problems at Ibrox. That's what I'm reading between the lines. Maybe it's desperately, maybe it's because I need to believe that from a lot of Philip Clement's press conferences. I'm hoping he was involved in the process of getting in the chap from Brighton and Hove Albion, Tom Taylor, who is due to arrive later on this month. I don't care who we are signing, who we're getting on loan in the January transfer window, who we're buying from Hearts, or with the Santos release clause, the Santa Claus thing for Alfredo Morelos. I just want this guy in the door. Tom Taylor is going to be the biggest arrival at Rangers over this festive period. We're dropping like flies, myself included. That's why this preview pod is so late. I'm dying of the lurgy. The whole Rangers world is just collapsing like flies. We have players unavailable through injury, through suspension, through private matters, or whatever it is Todd Cantwell wants to call it. I just need Rangers players to be available to play for Rangers. It's kind of in the job description. Please, can you play for Rangers? And if anybody can come in and do that job of making any of those players fitter, if this, it's reached a peak over the last few days. It's been horrendous for the last few weeks. It's been torturous for the last few months. It's been a major problem for the last few years, decades, really. Going right back to the late Daniel Prodan. Yeah, late Daniel Prodan. Daniel Prodan died in his 40s, and I'm convinced that's got something to do with the fact that he was once in contact with the Rangers Medical Centre. I feel as if Tom Taylor, if he can do anything to alleviate the personnel problems that we have, by February, he will be in front of people like Walter Smith, Willie Waddle, Ali McCoist, William Milton, Bill Struth, in the race to be the second person to have a statue erected in their honour outside Ibrox. We need to find out what day he's coming in. He's coming for Brighton and Hove Albion. It's later on this month, apparently. Get the date off Rangers, and we get the Union Bears down there, the Broomloan Collective, we get the pyro, get the loud hailers, get the drums and that going. Give the guy a proper welcome. Total Beatlemania when he comes in at domestic arrivals at Glasgow Airport. I think it should be like when Gaza arrived at Rome to sign for Lazio, or Didier Drogba arrived at Istanbul before he signed for tiny club Galatasaray, who we could get in February, depending on how things go tonight. We need to get absolute madness, and the police will need to clear a way for Tom Taylor to get through domestic arrivals and get into his taxi off to Auchenhowie, because it's going to be pandemonium. The welcome we are going to give that man while Alfredo Morelos checks into international arrivals, to a single photographer for the Evening Times and a wee lassie collecting for our dance troupe, and an Uber driver with a bit of cardboard with Morelos written on it in black felt tip pen. And second thoughts, don't bother getting down there to Glasgow Airport for the big welcome, because you know what will happen. Tom Taylor, well, the double doors will open, he'll come out and he'll get a bit of pyro right in the eye, a police horse will stand in his foot or something like that, and Philip Clement will be at a press conference next day going, I don't think a fitness head of performance, Tom Taylor, is going to be ready in time to go on the winter, the warm weather camp during the winter break. We're struggling. If we're lucky, he'll be back in time at Auchenhowie for the Copenhagen friendly. We're dropping like flies, folks. Everybody in Rangers land is dropping like flies. Stuart Weir, absolute doyen of Gersnet, legend of Scottish media, is on the Sunday night flagship show in Gersnet. Please check it out. Himself, Brian and Ian putting together a great pod on Sunday night, and towards the end of that pod they provided a far better build up to tonight's game, far better preview of Rangers in Seville than I will here. Stuart just made a wee joke. He just said, "No, I'm glad I wasn't injured. I'm glad I was able to make it tonight. I'm glad I was healthy enough. I avoided injury to turn it in this point." And I'm listening to it on Sunday night going, ha ha ha, that's a nice one, Stuart. Great part for Stuart. About 10 minutes later, the world started falling out my nose. I've got the Sudafed here, to keep the nostrils clear. I've got the Cavonia, for the coughing. I've got the paracetamol because the ribs and all that are so sore, just the head spinning, the coughing and what have you, and the snot rags. It's just been an absolute nightmare, folk. I've got the man flu. And only men will understand, guys. Only you will understand, because certain women in my life certainly don't understand that it's only a cold. There's people who have been in war zones and through natural disasters that don't really appreciate what I have gone through in the last 2 or 3 days. It's been absolutely brutal. So I might be forced to use the little pause button at some time in this video, however it turns out. I like to record these things in one take, keep the verisimilitude going, keep all the mistakes in there, but some of the noises that have been coming out my various vents over the last few days, I wouldn't put you through that, folks. You've suffered enough. I'll hit the pause button. There'll be some kind of rustic kind of editing going on if so required. But yeah, Stuart made that wee joke on Sunday, and then I hit the deck for a few days, and then it was Danilo. We found out about Danilo. Danilo was out for 4 months, 5 months. April is the generally accepted date for him coming back. I think the manager believes it could be late March. So, and even the compensation, that sick as it was, the little consolation that came to mind was, well, he's going off the boil anyway. And then you realise, no, he went down injured at Tynecastle. He was down in the deck for about a minute before he missed the first of those 2 sitters he missed in the game. So the reason he was missing those chances, the reason we were starting to think he was a crap striker anyway, was because of the very injury that's now got him on the sidelines for got injury, surgery, surgery. And then Cifuentes, well, of course he lost his appeal against his red card, but of course he got red carded because, of course, the only reason Cifuentes is playing in that drummer for spinal tap position, whoever's sitting beside John Lundstrom, the sitting midfielder in the sitting 2 in our 4-2-3-1 formation, ends up injured. Nicholas Raskin, remember him? He's not going to be back until 2024. Ryan Jack's certainly not playing tonight. I don't think he's going to be playing on Sunday either. Reading between the lines, he's never coming back. So Cifuentes had to go in there. A guy that, why do we care about him getting suspended? Because we didn't fancy him as a player for the first few months of this season anyway. It's only because desperation. He had a decent game against, who was it? I don't know, Limassol, when everybody else was crap. He's done all right. In a couple of games. But come on, at Tynecastle, he was good, wasn't he? And needs must, that's fine. That makes you a hero. Just being fit and available makes you a hero these days at Rangers. But we're 3-1 up against Dundee and everything seems fine. Oh, we're going to have a nice, easy second half in a game. And just before this, the stroke of half time, he gets himself sent off because he's too slow. And yeah, we can get into the conspiracies or the bad refereeing or whatever. The manager was certainly doing it. And that's good to know that he's going to start applying some pressure publicly on referees. But it's the only reason Cifuentes was there in the first place is because we're down to the bare bones. So he gets suspended. It means we have to play the entire second half of a game, in which we could do with getting a few new guys bloodied and getting a few minutes in their legs and taking the pressure off a few of the guys who've been under pressure this season. That ends up becoming a really intense second half. We handled it well, but we've played with 10 men for 45 minutes and more, including injury time, when that's the very thing we don't need. And I was talking in my post-match reaction pod on Saturday outside Ibrox, that's probably where I caught the lurgy, that I was, I was feeling a bit congested. Anyway, psychologically at this time of year. I've been stuck in traffic because everybody's trying to do their Christmas shopping, going to Bray Head and all that. Stuck in traffic, missed the first few minutes of kick-off, literally congested roadways. And I was listening to the manager talking about the fact that we had 12 games in 37 days when we were already down to, this was like 4 of them out the way. It was 8 games we had left between now and this winter break that we need, like no other club has ever needed a winter break. You get your Christmas presents to buy, your diary's congested as well, you get your nights out, you got to find time to buy the presents, get them wrapped, put up the Christmas decorations. It's first world problems. People in the Middle East probably aren't that sympathetic to my idea of a kind of crippling congestion. But I find myself now, instead of looking ahead to this game, looking for, maybe it's just the way I'm feeling, flu-wise, cold-wise, whatever you call it, but maybe I find myself, instead of tensely enjoying this moment tonight. A historic moment. Rangers back in the city that we lost the Europa League final just last year. Rangers playing for the first time ever at the Benito Villamarín in Seville. No Scottish club has ever avoided defeat in Seville. No Scottish side, the national team. Rangers, Celtic, I think they're the only ones that have actually played at Sevilla and Real Betis in Europe. None of them have ever avoided defeat, and there's a chance we could have done that. When this group was drawn, I knew this was going to be a massive night. At the very last game in the group, I was hoping that both of us were through and it could be a dead rubber. And then at the end of the beginning of last month, beginning of November, when we won the League Cup semi-final on the Sunday against Hearts, and the following Thursday we beat Sparta Prague in that crucial group stage match at Ibrox in the Europa League. It was flagged up straight away. It was the first thing I was talking about in the post-match reaction pod that Thursday night was we're going to have Betis in Seville on the Thursday night, Aberdeen in the League Cup final on the Sunday. How's that going to go down? Aberdeen are about to kick off, probably before you've had a chance to watch this video. They're kicking off earlier than us. They're kicking off in Scotland. You know what I mean? That's a slight advantage at the best of times, particularly when Aberdeen started winning. Of course Aberdeen have started winning now. They're beating us. They're beating us. No beating anybody else in Scotland, but they're taking points off us. They're beating us at Ibrox. They're taking points off us at Pittodrie. But now they've started late winning against Hearts last weekend. They've got Eintracht Frankfurt at home tonight. They're looking good. They're all set up for Sunday, whereas we are just dropping like flies. And I'm now just thinking about the League Cup final. Instead of enjoying this match, instead of savouring this European adventure tonight, the end of this European group stage, the 104th and final group stage match, the old style group stages that Rangers will play in UEFA competition. This is the last night of that style of UEFA group stage before we go into this stupid Swiss system in all three European club competitions next season. That's a moment to be savoured. That's something I've tried to prattle on about in the previous attempts I've had at doing this video, but I'm so bunged up and what have you that it just, my brains isn't even working right. So it's more rambly and it's taking me more time to get through what I've got to say than it usually does, and they're usually painful enough, but please bear with me because it is all getting a bit congested mentally as well, and emotionally as well as physically. I'm now wanting that League Cup final out the way. So European football, just get it out the way, because there's too many things going through my head, too many things to deal with between now and this winter break that we need more than any other club has needed a winter break. League Cup final, I'm obsessed with us winning this League Cup. It's what a difference it could make to our season. We could pivot on this League Cup and not just win all three major domestic trophies for the first time since 2012, but pivot on this and win all three major domestic trophies in one season. There's nothing to stop us. The energy we would take from winning, the difference it would make to us historically, never mind in terms of this season, to win this League Cup final. And I'm now just thinking about it in terms of just get it out the way. So we've got domestic cup competition out the way until Dumbarton in the Scottish Cup after this winter break that we need, like no other club has needed a winter break, to get some signings in, to get some loanees in, to get some players back to fitness, to get Tom Taylor's magical hands on everybody's dodgy thighs, ankles and kneecaps, and just to lay hands on them and get us back to our full complement. And then Celtic go and get beat at Rugby Park on Sunday, and that's absolutely fantastic. That's great news for us. It means the title race is back on, and but it also means that past Sunday, I'm now thinking, need to get, it's all just league games until that winter break that we need, like no other club has needed a winter break. But get St Johnstone out the way, get, Motherwell Fir Park, get that out the way. Just, I want to play Celtic at Parkhead. That's the big one. We've got to focus, because we could end up screwing it up for ourselves. That could end up becoming an embarrassment. We've got a chance to chuck it as much as pull ourselves back into the league race. And that's before this winter break as well. And we've got Kilmarnock, the team who beat Celtic on Sunday. We've got to play them on the 2nd of January as well before we get to go in that winter break. I'm just feeling a bit ill, folks. Maybe that's what's making it so bad for me. I'm supposed to be savouring these games. It's supposed to be a matter of celebration, looking forward to it. Maybe it's just a huge dose of the old PMT. But what has happened to me, please, if you want a better preview, I say check out Sunday night's flagship show for Brian, Ian and Stuart. That was great. They had a look ahead to tonight's game Also, back in September, it will still be on the YouTube page. I did a proper preview of their first game against Betis in this group stage, the first game of this group stage in the Europa League, in which I directed you towards Rangers Review and Copa 90 videos all about Real Betis, and I gave you a bit of insight into their history and how their fan base regards itself, what a unique club they are. All clubs are unique, but they're interesting in a particular way, and it's really, they're a great club despite having never reached a European final and never having reached a European semi-final. Very rarely play in Europe throughout the history of Real Betis, only having won La Liga once, but they got a 60,000 seater capacity stadium. It's like the Ramon Sanchez Pizjuan, but with an extra tier on it. It's quite a place, quite a venue. I'm jealous of the Bears that are going there tonight. But go in there and dig into that if you want to get a proper build-up, a proper idea of what Real Betis are all about. And you'll also hear me talking like somebody who's really enthusiastic about European football, as you would if you check out, I don't mind the embarrassment. I totally embarrassed myself 2 weeks ago ahead of the game against Aris Limassol at Ibrox when I was telling Rangers fans, don't be down in the team because they dropped points to Pittodrie, as we had done in our previous match. European football, just being in a group stage, is probably as much of an achievement these days with the state of Scottish football as winning the League Cup. Getting out of a European group stage is probably better than winning the Scottish Cup. So calling the Rangers players losers because they've only won 2 trophies in the last 11 years, that's no right, because of the European achievements. We've reached a European final, we've got to the Champions League. This is far better than domestic achievement, and now I find myself today just thinking, I don't care. Can we just get through this tonight? Can we just survive it? Can we just not get pounded? I just want us to go in to Sunday in the best fettle possible. The last time Rangers won a major Scottish domestic trophy, we'd played in the Europa League in Seville 3 days previously against Eintracht Frankfurt. Then can we do it again on Sunday, going into a major Scottish domestic final 3 days after playing in Seville in the Europa League? And on Sunday we'll play the team who are tonight playing Eintracht Frankfurt. The second time I saw Aberdeen in a major domestic final, they had just won a European final against Real Madrid a few days previously. And Real Madrid and Eintracht Frankfurt, of course, played in the most famous game ever played at Hampden, arguably the most famous game ever played in European club competition. So stuff like this I should be talking about, but I can't help dragging myself towards the League Cup final because it's a dark obsession with that game on Sunday. And when the manager at the pre-match presser yesterday was talking about Cifuentes, we knew about Cifuentes anyway, confirming that the Danilo situation is bad despite him trying to put his usual positive spin on it. And then Todd Cantwell was just the final, boot to the low and danglies. We'd been in a video. I'm sure it was just yesterday Rangers posted the video on their official YouTube channel and on their X Twitter account. I'm watching what I thought was Rangers players having a quick training session in Auchenhowie before getting the midday flight out to Seville. And Todd Cantwell was front and centre, frolicking, having a laugh. He was absolutely delighted, looking great. And I was thinking, yeah, Todd Cantwell, I was forgetting about him. I was like, he's back playing at 10 now. That's all been resolved. Even if it's about defence tomorrow night, defence starts with how you're playing up front. He hods the ball up. He was great against Sparta Prague when we were under pressure at the start of that second half over in Prague. Todd Cantwell back at 10, it'll be fantastic. We've got him. Everything's going to be all right tomorrow night and Sunday. And no, we don't. Then the manager tells us, no, didn't even make the flight. He didn't even make that flight. I'm sure that was filmed just before they went to the flight. And between that and the flight, he's not got on it. It's just the way things are going right now with Rangers. So it's led to me not being able to really enjoy and savour the moments. It's me just wanting to get through them, with minimum embarrassment. And I'm now not even looking at the glory of tonight. I'm looking at how it's going to affect us on Sunday, and I'm not even enjoying the potential glory of Rangers lifting a trophy on Sunday. And I'm just thinking, we need to get in there. We need to win that League Cup. It'll be a total embarrassment if we don't. Can we get that done and dusted? What's going to happen tonight to make things? I don't think I could have just hung on for a wee while doing this video once the team had been announced, but I think the team already was announced. That stuff last night about the coaching staff, that wasn't their contracts getting confirmed by Philip Clement. He was giving you the team. Colin Stewart's going to be in nets tonight. I think Alec Ray's going in beside John Lundstrom in the setting two in midfield. And I think Brian Gilmore will be playing at 10. And I think a lot of us would rather Brian Gilmore was playing at 10 than Sam Lammers is playing at 10, as he probably will tonight. It's dark days, folks. It's dark days on the injury front, but it just doesn't necessarily mean it has to be a dark day this evening. It's been congested, as I say, it's congested my head, it's congested physically, and the fact that the top three teams, as they are just now in this Europa League Group C, can all, at close of play tonight, finish either first, second or third, really mucks things up in your mind. And the different scenarios that brings about, even though Rangers are guaranteed to play in the Conference League, and you also have our manager, Philippe Clement, is he doing us a favour by bumming up the Conference League? He's talking about Jose Mourinho having the Conference League tattoo. Totally disingenuous. Jose Mourinho got a tattoo of all three of the current European club competitions because he's just joined Udo Lattek, and a year ago he joined Udo Lattek and Giovanni Trapattoni as managers to have won all three of the European competitions, European club competitions, or three European club competitions. It was the Cup Winners' Cup with all the guys, but you know what I'm saying, Conference League come in 20 odd years later. But I feel as if it was about that. And also he was assistant to Bobby Robson when he won the Cup Winners' Cup with Barcelona, so Mourinho could have thrown that one in there as well, but maybe the time he had at Real Madrid put him off that. I'm getting off the beaten track here, as I am wont to do on European nights, but I feel as if the manager, was that a good move? Is he trying to prepare us for the worst, or is he just accepting that we're going to get gubbed tonight and that's a bad thing? I don't know. For me, I know that my best hope, I don't really expect us to win tonight. Craig Ray of Gersnet, he is over there. He's been posting pictures, sending pictures on his X account, what have you, with Dave Smith. Dave Smith got 2 assists, 2 brilliant assists. The only time Rangers have ever won in Spain in a competitive match, and it's almost like the only time we've ever won in Spain in a competitive match, it was in a part of Spain that doesn't want to be part of Spain, and there's quite a lot of them like that, and it was against a team from Moscow, and it's almost like we've tried to immortalise and further commemorate that European Cup Winners' Cup final win in the Nou Camp by not beating anybody else in Spain ever. Rangers have never beaten anybody else competitively in Spain. Say every Scottish side that's ever been to Spain, international team, Scotland, I remember Scotland losing there in 1985 and the Ramon Sanchez Pizjuan losing 1-0 in a World Cup qualifier after beating Spain 3-1 at Hampden. I remember October, no difficult to remember, Scotland looked like they're going to carry on this sensational qualifying campaign they had for Euro 2024 by beating Spain in Spain until that goal, McTominay's amazing strike in La Cartuja, was ruled out. And it ends up Spain win 2-0. I remember Scotland taking the lead against Brazil. Dave Neary, absolutely fantastic. I was like 12, 13 at the time. We've been in the stadium we're playing in tonight. Much changed as it is since then. Brazil beat us 4-1. A great Brazil team in 1982. Great Brazil team. Celtic obviously losing the UEFA Cup final there. They lost in the stadium we're playing in tonight to Betis a couple of seasons back under Postecoglou in the Europa League. Was it 4-3? I think it was. They lost they lost the UEFA Cup final obviously in 2003. I don't know if Celtic I don't think they've ever played Sevilla in Europe. We lost to Sevilla in the Cup Winners' Cup in the away leg. We beat them overall. I think we put 4 past them at Ibrox, but I think we lost 2-0. And we lost them in the Champions League. Obviously, they beat us at Ibrox as well. One of the Champions League group stage campaigns under Walter Smith's second coming. But no Scottish club has ever avoided defeat in Seville, and there's always a bit of agony. There's often a lot of kind of hopes getting built up attached to it. That's the Scotland defeat, the kind of Olympic Stadium in Seville back in October, summing that up to perfection. So there's a chance for Rangers to real history tonight. I can't see it though. Betis, albeit they've got their own injury problems, they drew with 1 each with Real Madrid. They drew 1 each at home with Real Madrid on Saturday there. Isco hit the post in the 90th minute. They almost won the thing right at the end of normal time, Real Betis. But they've got a few injury problems. Also, they've unbeaten at home all season. They lost twice domestically and twice in Europe. We've lost 3 times domestically and twice in Europe this season. But of course, one of the times we've won in Europe this season was against Betis. So on paper, you could say it's all eeksy-peeksy between us. Betis, when they lost this season in La Liga, it was 4-2 away to Athletic Bilbao, and they lost 5-0 in the Olympic Stadium in Barcelona to Barcelona. So when they get beat, they really get beat. It would be nice. I think we could do something about that, but I just don't see. I think we're all roads lead to Hampden for Rangers, and I think it's all about kind of limiting the damage tonight. And my greatest hope tonight is that Aris Limassol will take something off Sparta Prague. You've then got the confusion of what do you want? Do you want to go into the Europa League in second place in this group, and therefore you get a Champions League dropout? Galatasaray, Milan, I fancy that. Shakhtar Donetsk, never played them before in Europe. They won't be able to play home games in Ukraine for obvious reasons, so that could give us an advantage, but it could also mean that it was more embarrassing if they beat us, because it's always a decent side, Shakhtar Donetsk. Who else in there? Lons. Milan would be absolutely amazing. It'd be amazing to play Milan, as I say. But Young Boys, Bern, there's a lot of teams in there that we've played recently in Europe. Same as if we're to finish third and we drop into the Conference League, you're thinking, well, there's a chance of actually winning the Conference League. Not necessarily. I think you get Fiorentina, Eintracht Frankfurt, and then there's Lille, I think might be in the Conference League as well, albeit generally it's weaker. And there's still a lot of decent teams in there, and depending on how the draw goes, you could be out in the first game in February anyway, and then you get the Europa League. Well, Liverpool are through, and they inflicted our worst ever defeat upon us at Ibrox just last season. So there's no guarantees we're going to repeat our run of 2021-2022 if we do secure second place tonight and just carry on in the Europa League. But as I say, there's a chance of really everything happening tonight. If Aris Limassol to win by 2 clear goals against Sparta, which I think they are capable of doing, albeit they're the Aberdeen of this group and that they've only all the points have come against Rangers. I don't think Sparta are as good as we'd want them to be given the results against them, and I don't think Aris are as bad as we certainly felt they were when we were slagging the hell out of Rangers for dropping any points to them. Not that I'm saying there was any excuses for that, but I think there's a good chance, even in trying to get the win tonight, that would. I think Aris Limassol are ambitious. They've got Belarusian money. They've got a Belarusian manager. It feels right that they would get through to the Conference League knockout stages next year. But even in trying to pursue that win, if they just draw, even with Sparta Prague need to win to get above us, then we would be through if Sparta failed to win in Limassol. And I think that's a better chance for us continuing in the Europa League than actually doing anything serious against Real Betis. Betis played Real Madrid last Saturday, and this coming weekend they've got Real Sociedad in San Sebastian. They're away to La Real, who are just above them in the league in the sixth spot that Real Betis ended up occupying last season at the close of play in La Liga. That's also the last of the European spots, so it's a kind of 6-pointer they've got coming up this weekend. They want to catch up, overtake Real Sociedad. They've got Champions League ambitions, of course. Betis, they see themselves as being a Champions League size club. There's a lot of ground to gain to get themselves up into even 4th spot. Granada have upset everybody with their loads of money, investment stuff. They're up there with Barcelona and the 2 Madrid teams. And you've got, I think, Athletic Bilbao are probably 5th. So there's a lot for Betis to do in the league if they want to become a Champions League team. So I feel as if they'll go for it tonight. Because a bit like ourselves, they're hated rivals. Their hated derby rivals finished bottom of their Champions League group this season. That means they're representing for the city. In our case, we're representing for the whole country. So that's good. They want to make the best of it. But Real Betis come from Europa League City. They come from the city of the Europa League. We lost on penalties in Seville in the Ramon Sanchez Pizjuan in Sevilla's stadium in the 2022 Europa League final. The 2023 Europa League final was Sevilla winning the Europa League on penalties. I saw Sevilla winning the UEFA Cup, the forerunner of the Europa League, on penalties at Hampden in Glasgow, in my city, before the following season got to see Rangers down at Manchester in the same final. So there's a kind of Scottish club with Celtic getting to the final in 2003 as well. There's a kind of wee run in the past 20 odd years of Scotland and Seville, or Glasgow and Seville, affecting the UEFA Cup / Europa League final, be it as a venue or the actual winner. But Sevilla have won 7 Europa League / UEFA Cups. They've won this competition 7 times. Only Real Madrid and Milan have won any European competition 7 times. So they're the one of only 3 clubs to win a European competition 7 times. And they also won 3 in a row from 2014, 15 and 16. They won the Europa League. And that's only Ajax, Bayern and Real Madrid have won any European competition 3 times in a row, other than Sevilla. Real Betis have never even reached a European semi-final, as I say, so they've been rubbing that in the face of their rivals for years, for Betis to drop into the Conference League, even if they were to go and win the thing, it would almost be an insult to them, I think. I think Sevilla fans would almost laugh in their face if they won the Conference League, with Sevilla having just last year completed seven UEFA Cup / Europa League. So Betis want to progress in this competition, and they're capable of winning it. They've got the personnel and the manager in 70-year-old Manuel Pellegrini, famous Manchester City, Chilean. He's managed all around the world, really experienced manager, cool guy. I think they've got the capability of winning this competition and accessing the Champions League next season via winning the Europa League. So we've got to watch ourselves tonight. On Saturday, however, they were taking the pitch down those green AstroTurf steps, the Benito Villamarin, coming out to their great anthem. There's a great anthem right here tonight. Oh, Betis, Betis, Betis. That'll be great for the home fans anyway, all that green and white. But they were wearing T-shirts, the Betis players, wishing all the best to Guido Rodriguez, their Argentinian World Cup winning. He was a member of the World Cup winning squad of Argentina this time last year. He broke his ankle, I think, in training, so he's out probably for the rest of the season. He's going to be out for a month, so they're wearing T-shirts wishing him all the best. They've got a little taste of our problems, Real Betis, albeit very scaled up given the depth of their squad. But William Carvalho, the really experienced, world-famous Portuguese international, can play defensive midfield, whatever. He's been talking about coming back. He's been out for a while. Anyway, Nabil Fekir, the famous French player, cracking French player, he's a long-term hip injury problem. I think it's a wee while before he'll be back. Youssouf Sabaly, their Senegalese defender, he's about 31-year-old, he's out as well with injury. I think he's trying to get in his way back, but it's not going to happen. Claudio Bravo, their famous goalkeeper, I'm so glad I saw at Ibrox. Great to see Claudio Bravo, Man City, that 140 odd caps for Chile. He's out with a hamstring problem. So they've got a few injury problems themselves. Their team on Saturday, they play the 4-2-3-1, the same as us. The team they fielded on Saturday against Real Madrid, won each draw with Real Madrid. Real Madrid were down to the bare bones though. They only had like Toni Kroos and Luka Modric and Jude Bellingham and Big Rudiger and David Alaba at the back. They were just struggling for players. Real Madrid, they took the lead early in the second half. Lovely finish for Jude Bellingham. Lovely little move, dink over the wall. Perfectly timed run, takes it in his chest and puts it away all in one super smooth motion. He's a great player. Jude Bellingham, total Rolls Royce, as we know, him scoring against us in this very competition last year. So he scored a cracking goal at 50 odd minutes, and then back came Real Betis. It was, I think, Real Madrid dominated possession slightly, maybe like 55 to 45%. But it was pretty much an even game. It was pretty much a one each game. It's weird watching games from a better league. Basically, it's a bit like that thing where you would used to play five-a-sides and be a guy who'd played. Well, for me, I'm just a Sunday league plodder. There was guys who'd played, had trials for St Mirren or Kilmarnock or something like that, and had played juniors, and they would come in and they would look like they weren't really trying, but you couldn't get anywhere near them. It's that same thing. You could mistake it for looking like slow football, because both teams very studied. But as soon as anybody get into any kind of space, they were clobbered. They're taken down, and the skill factor is very high. So yeah, you really have to watch them. I couldn't be fooled by that. It seemed like a slow game, but it's two of them just kind of cancelling each other out. The team that they did field in that game, Betis, it was Rui Silva in goals. It was 6 changes in that team from the team that played us at Ibrox back in September when we beat them. And what looked like the big change for us since then, of course, is the manager. And we thought that was the big win that really counted at a crucial time. Finally, Michael Beale had got a result that ticked all the boxes, and 11 days later he was sacked. So the big change for us is the manager on that point. But they changed 6 players. They went on Saturday against Real Madrid with Rui Silva, Portuguese international. He was in goal. They'd Abner, the Brazilian boy, at left back. I think he's quite a young chap. But you've got Juan Miranda, who's kind of comes from Barcelona. Is probably going to go back to Barcelona. Spanish international. He's a great left back. He might be coming back in tonight. The interesting bit was at right back, where it was Aitor Ruibal. He scored the goal. He scored their goal. Real Betis, proper Tav special, up to the edge of the box, rifles it right into the top corner over the goalkeeper. Great goal. He's 1 yellow card away from being suspended for the next round of Europe. I don't know how much they're going to worry about that, Real Betis, tonight, but he was only in because Hector Bellerin, their first choice right back, ex of Arsenal, he was suspended after getting a red card in La Liga in the previous week against Almeria. So I think Bellerin's probably going to be back in tonight, but that guy, Ruibal, he's pretty useful. Two centre-halves, you German Pizzella. He's an Argentinian World Cup winning centre-half called German. It's just like, it's got everything going from, he's an absolute legend. He was playing at centre-half, absolute monster of a defender. Riyad, the young Moroccan under-23 player on loan from Barcelona. I don't know how regular he's been playing for them, but he was other centre-half. They do the 4-2-3-1, same as ourselves, and the sitting two in midfield. It was Altamira. That was only his second game of the season. Had a good game, the boy, from what I saw. And he was next to Mark Roca, who's on loan from Leeds United. He's been great for them this season. I don't know, they're maybe going to have, Guido Rodriguez, he's out injured for months, maybe even until the end of the season. So he played against us at Ibrox. He's not going to be back in the mix in that area of the park tonight, but they might have Andres Guadrado, who's basically like the Mexican James Milner. He's like Mexican football and Central American, world football and royalty, really. He's got 170 odd caps for Mexico, Guadrado, and he's late 30s. I'm really sad he didn't play at Ibrox, didn't come off the bench at Ibrox. I'd love to have seen him in the flesh. So he might be playing against us tonight. He tends to come on. He came on later in this game. He's kind of James Milner, as I say, of Real Betis, shows things up. Total professional, vastly experienced, cracking player. The three, and the 3-1 but sitting behind the lone striker. You had Jose Perez out on the right, like Newcastle, Leicester City. He played in England for years. Lovely player, really wise, really clever. Go to watch him. You had Abde, the young Moroccan, who's part of their World Cup team last season, who got to the semi-finals of the World Cup. Gave us a real hard time at Ibrox on the left-hand side of the three. They're number 7. And sitting in the hole, the number 10 position, although he's wearing 22. Isco, it's the 5 Champions League winners' medals to his name, but he didn't play in all the finals. He only come on as a sub in some of them, so he's absolutely cracking. He's running things quite a cool customer. You've got to keep an eye on him. He's always ready to explode into life. As I say, he nearly won the game, heading onto the post in the last minute of normal time, and up front is the Brazilian Willian Jose, who's 10 goals for the season. He's a top scorer so far this season, 6 goals in La Liga. And they're unbeaten at home, as I say. They're sitting in 7th place in La Liga. They've got all sorts of ambitions as a club going forward, and ambitions for this season alone, Real Betis. So we really have got to watch ourselves tonight. I can't see anything other than a Real Betis win. Oh me of little faith, but if nothing else, I am a jinx. Anytime I predict Rangers winning, we usually get cuffed. So, I would take that on board. I would take all encouragement from that. I've got a million other things I was wanting to say in this pod, but I'm having a lot of trouble just saying the few basic things that need to be said, and it's going to be kick-off time. I'm feeling a bit fluey, folks, a bit cold. I'm sorry that this is so late going out this pod. I'll definitely be back after the game for a bit of post-match reaction, because no matter how bad I am feeling physically when Rangers are playing in Europe, I'm psyched at my skull anyway. I'll not be getting to sleep until the wee small hours anyway. So, yeah, enjoy the game. Enjoy watching your team in Betis. And I just think, all the great Rangers achievements have all come. We're missing players. John Gregg should never have played. The one time we did win in Spain, in Europe, John Gregg should never have started that game, and he did, and he started it by going firing right through Josef Sabel, the playmaker of Moscow Dynamo. He started it with a clattering tackle that put his own health right back at risk from the first few seconds of the game, and that was our greatest ever moment. In Europe, John Gregg was absent when we won the League Cup final in 1970-71 season. Derek Johnson, 16 years old, he gets drafted in and scores the winner. Walter Smith, his greater moment, the moments that tested him most during 9 in a row was we had to take over from Graham Souness, who left at the most inopportune moment as we approached 3 in a row. Aberdeen just needed a draw to win the league at Ibrox. Last day of the season, we had players dropping like flies. Injuries into that game, during that game, we won 2-0. 3 in a row, and the only time 9 in a row. The time 9 in a row was most at risk was when Celtic with Cadete and Di Canio and Van Hooijdonk came to Ibrox for the New Year game, 96-97 season, and looked like they were going to blow us away, and a flu bug had swept through Ibrox. It was players missing, players playing who were half fit, and we beat them 3-1, and 9 in a row was pretty much secured. So, a bit of adversity never did Rangers any harm, and this is the last. I'll have to focus on European football before the new year and then it'll be all eyes towards Hampden. But enjoy watching Rangers in Spain tonight. Enjoy watching us at the Benito Villamarín, and I'll see you after the game. Thanks, folks.